The extreme demands of joining El Mencho's cartel. Imagine you're in Mexico as a tourist, but you keep hearing the name El Mencho, but you have absolutely no idea who he is. People ask you to stay away from certain people and places, but it looks like you've made the wrong turn and now you're in the wrong place at a very wrong time. You are in the El Mencho area. So who is El Mencho? Why shouldn't you be there? And more importantly, you would be getting to know about the insane and extreme demands of joining El Mencho's cartel. Let us know all about that in the video. So who is El Mencho? Born on July 17, 1966, he lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, and there he completely committed himself to crime. It was all he ever did, like drugs, robbery, assault, and intimidation, and he did it with the fearlessness that damned all the consequences. This young man's main hustle was shuttling across the border under assumed names, facilitating the sale of meth. He perfectly illustrates exactly what it means that one cannot remain fortunate eternally. By 1986, his luck ran out and he was arrested and charged with robbery and gun possession. But again, he was soon released and he continued from where he left, transporting drugs across the border. By 1989, he was arrested again, but this time it was not robbery or gun possession, it was for drug charges. Then his illegal immigrant status came to the notice of the authorities and he got deported. But unlike everyone else, he didn't lay low and thank his lucky stars. Instead, he went back to the trade, and in a few months he was back in the US. What do you think he was doing? What else would it be? Yes, he was moving drugs across the border. El Mencho was arrested one last time in September 1992, but this time he was handed federal charges against him. According to the court records, El Mencho and his brother Abraham were busted in a San Francisco bar named Imperial while trying to sell heroin. Abraham was in charge of securing the deal, while El Mencho, who was just 26 years old at the time, was on the lookout. However, El Mencho kept an eye on his brother and on the people to whom they were selling drugs. It turns out that 3 of them were undercover police officers, but El Mencho told his brother earlier that he was suspicious and suggested never doing business with them. But, unfortunately, they were arrested 3 weeks after this incident. El Mencho had reached a major turning point with this arrest. Now you might be wondering who can be better than Pablo Escobar. Isn't he a legend for drugs? Yes, he was a legend for drugs, but he is nothing compared to El Mencho. Want to know why? So after that milestone, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes became popularly known as El Mencho, the drug lord from Mexico. He is a strong drug lord with 5,000 followers spread out over all continents except Antarctica. His vicious gang, the Cartel Jalisco New Generation, also known as CJNG, is held accountable for kidnappings, torture, killings, cannibalism, and the spread of fentanyl, which has eclipsed heroin as the deadliest illegal substance in the United States. Mexico-based crime organizations continue to have substantial influence over large swaths of the country's people, territory, and economy. The criminal market in Mexico and its whims, as opposed to government policies or the absence thereof, are mainly to blame for the decrease in violence. This is true even in areas where violence has not erupted or has decreased. The 2 biggest crime groups are the Cartel Jalisco New Generation and the Sinaloa Cartel. The Sinaloa Cartel, which the Mexican government traditionally regarded as the most potent criminal gang in Mexico, is now under attack from the CJNG. Since 2015, CJNG has been the only cartel in Mexico with an expansionary track. The assault and murder of 13 police officers in Michoacan on October 14th are one of many attacks on police that the CJNG gang is held responsible for. El Mencho is receiving more notice now that his main rival, Sinaloa cartel boss Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, was ultimately given a life term this summer in a U.S. federal prison. CJNG rose fast and viciously to become one of those powerful groups in both Mexico and the entire world. So where does this strong gang find the members it needs? What kind of instruction do they receive, and what requirements must you meet to join them? As you delve into the specifics, you will learn this as well as a lot more. El Mencho traveled to Tijuana, a well-known border city for American vacationers and warring Mexican gangs. He expanded his drug smuggling operation there all the way to San Diego. He quickly established a reputation for himself at the primary border crossing into the United States, which serves as a well-liked drug market for gangs looking to sell their goods there. CJNG is not only national, but it's also grown internationally, according to the reports of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, with a considerable presence not only in Mexico and the U.S., but also in Europe, Asia, and Australia. The El Mencho gang was founded as a result of the demise of the Sinaloa gang boss. The gang as a whole dispersed into numerous illegal organizations. The harshest of them all was El Mencho's. Francisco, the man who spent 3 or 4 months in training with CJNG, told us his survival story and witnessed the barbarism there from the first day of training, of becoming a hitman to being a cartel member of CJNG. He came across the fact that the only way of escaping the camp was to leave in a bad body. But over the course of 3 months, he learned how to use both short and long weaponry, attack foes, follow the rules, avoid gossiping, and of course, how to murder. Francisco, the name was given to him to hide his identity as a protected witness. He saw a lot of people who were in their 19s, 20s, and 30s. They were masons, carpenters, mechanics, security guards, graduates, and accountants. Francisco's training tells us about the severity and nature of the training that is given to their recruits. At level 1, the beginning, to become a perfect hitman. One error could be deadly because of the rigorous discipline that the instructors enforced. A nervous new recruit in their 19 failed to put together a gun, and in a blink of an eye, he was shot and died. The instructor said that he was up to no good because in a real situation, he would panic and put us all in danger. Then level 2, christening. They all approached the corpses of the recently murdered, and Francisco was asked to cut off the hands of a recently murdered recruit. The trembling fell, but he had to do it because if he didn't, they would kill him without hesitation. Then they had to decapitate a dead man's head and crush it with a stone. When the body was severed, they had to eat some parts of it, but there was this one recruit who couldn't eat and vomited it, but they picked up the piece of flesh from the dirt and forced him to eat it. He said they do it to become desensitized to violence. When one survives all the tests and pieces of training by the instructors of the cartel, one becomes a perfect hitman. Forced recruitment is a tactic used by cartels. A recent UNICEF survey tells that gang recruiting is forcing families to quit their homes and look for asylum abroad. According to some child rights in Mexico, almost 35,000 kids and teenagers have been enlisted by criminal gangs in Mexico to take part in illegal activities that put their lives in extreme danger. However, it doesn't appear that the gangs are concerned about it because they are prepared to take any action necessary to expand their multi-billion-dollar enterprise. Many children and adolescents are drawn to their gangs because of how appealing social media use is. They advertise by exhibiting an endless supply of money, parties, a luxurious lifestyle, and women. TikTok is a social media platform that is extensively and frequently used by all people, so they primarily use it as a recruitment instrument. However, the drug overdose crises and the murder rates in Mexico are rising to attract more followers. Our journey through the video has come to a conclusion. Social media is very dangerous because it can lead to cyberbullying, imposters, coercion, and gang problems. Please share your thoughts on how changes might be helpful in this subject in the comments section. Describe your thoughts on entering the gang if you have any. Subscribe to us, All Time Crime, if you haven't already. For more videos, keep checking back with us.